just so good. Man, I just how's everybody doing today? I'm sick and Andy's sick and we sound great. And you know what's great is we work completely remote and everyone seems to get sick at the same time anyway. So I don't really, I don't really know what the deal is, but I guess that's the beauty is we can still live stream. We are on for hotcakes. Andy, how you doing today, man?
Doing great, man. We may sound like Barry White collectively, right? But at least we got a good intro song.
Yeah, I like it. Oh man. Oh, it's gross. I apologize, everybody. So here we go. So we are again hotcakes. We're here to talk about cyber insurance and all the good stuff that comes with it. If you are curious about what we have to offer here, if you're an agent listening in or an MSP, head on over to UKON.com. There's a little QR code for you at the top right, or you just go to again UKON. I guess I can do it this way: UKON.com. Boom, UKON.com. Good times. So we are going to dive into all things related to cyber insurance across this series. But for now, we kind of like to kick these off. We're going to have special guests coming in here shortly. Before we do that, we like to give our little hotcakes on what's going on in the cyber insurance world. So, Andy, you want to kick that off?
Yeah, absolutely. No worries at all. It's that time of year is how I would kick it off. Hey there, Josh. See you, man.
Yeah, we have a viewer.
All right. And a good one at that.
Josh knows lots of things.
Yeah, and I'll share my screen here. We've got the new net diligence report is out. NetD's next week. Our president, CEO, or President Reed Wellock will be there, and I'll be
there too.
Yeah, all right. So we've got the new NetD report is out. It always comes out the week before, right? You can hop on, you can download that report. But one of the as a Padres fan, that's great. Josh, I'm sorry, man. I love you, but don't go check my Instagram.
I'm all about anytime anyone trolls the Cubs when Andy's involved.
It's great. Anyway, so yeah, the NetD report's out. There's a lot of good stuff in there. If you're interested in cyber insurance at all, I would say go download that. It's a phenomenal report, one of the better ones that comes out. The thing that I want my hot cake for the day is part of that report says that they polled 10,000 businesses, roughly 10,000 businesses that had a claim. And they asked those businesses, when you filed insurance, right, what percent of the total loss, right, did you get back through your claim? And that average number was 69%. So a couple of thoughts there on that. Number one, if we compare it to other lines of insurance, if I had gone out and bought a $100,000 car and I had crashed it the next week, and I filed insurance and I only got $69,000 back, what would you think about that, right? Like we'd be pretty upset. So where does that come from, and why? Is it a claim denial? Is it, is there something wrong with the buying process? And we're not seeing denials. So this is kind of my hot case today.
So sorry, just clarify, like I'm 5 years old. You're saying that if I had a claim that was $1 million, then only the average is $690K is getting paid out towards that.
Getting paid out. That's it. That's right. And what we're seeing in the industry, that may sound really nefarious or ominous to the average listener. What we're seeing in the industry is folks are having trouble quantifying their loss potential. And we have this history in small to medium-sized businesses of just going and buying $1 million of insurance, right? So folks will go out, they'll buy $1 million of GL, $1 million of work comp, $1 million of liability on business auto. And then cyber comes up at this newer type of insurance, and they'll go get $1 million of cyber. Well, what if you're a $100 million regional orthopedic and you've got PHI lying all over the place and you go down for 15 days? That's going to cost you more than $1 million, right? So having that loss quantified, getting in with your broker, getting in with the specialist, really digging into what your controls look like, what average downtime looks like, all of those things can help raise that number to where insurance will actually indemnify, which is the point, is to be made whole, right? God, we got Padres fans all over. I wear my Cubs stuff one day, and I'm making everybody in the chat, man. I love it.
I mean, you bring that upon yourself, Andy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Anytime you rep any particular sports team, the opposing fans will come out in force. But also, hey Joe, good to see you, man. Glad you're on the stream here. That's really interesting, though, Andy. Like, I think there's a lot of misconceptions. One of the things I have noticed in the cyber insurance world in general is there's a lot of kind of the rumor mill runs up pretty quick, where
Yep.
it's like a stat comes out or someone says a thing, and everyone gets on this like, oh, cyber insurance doesn't want to pay claims, cyber insurance
Right.
doesn't pay out. Um, I mean, insurance is insurance. It's going to function the way it is, and
Right.
like you said, the quantification part is really important. If you don't know how much coverage you need and you don't buy the right amount of coverage, a lot of times that 69% number is less about less about insurance not paying the claim and more about you not having enough insurance, right? And that's the key component there. That's awesome. The thing I want to bring up today before we bring our guest in here is uh, I'm not sure how many people here have heard about the Jaguar Land Rover cyber incident that happened. It's over in the UK, but it's still worth talking about because it is on a global scale. There's a lot to it. Andy, I was just reading today. So, okay, I'm going way too far ahead of myself here. So at the beginning, right? Caden's on the call too. Man, we're getting MSPs, we're getting insurance people. This is good stuff. That's what we like to see. The ecosystem of UKON coming together. Caden, how you doing, man?
Caden, you're not a Padres fan too, are you? I
I
just
really hope
everybody else
Caden's a
has
Padres
hopped in.
fan.
Yeah.
Caden, please tell me who you're rooting for. But with all that, right? With this Jaguar Land Rover incident, I mean, when all said and done, like $2 billion in losses are being estimated because of downtime. They're thinking they're going to be down for about 30 days. And there's a lot you could talk about on the security front. Like, did they not
Right.
have the right security? Did they not
Right.
have MDR that could have shut things down? Terrible cars. Also, apparently, terrible security. So there you go. Or terrible security awareness training, because I mean, it's just whatever happened. But when you think of the incident, there's a lot we were reading. One of the really I think telling factors is that when the incident happened, this particular manufacturer was in the process of applying for cyber insurance.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
So they didn't have it. They didn't have cyber, but they were working on getting it, and then the incident happened, which is crazy. But I was also reading. There's a lot of different fans in here. I'm sorry, guys. We got Caden's over here voting for the Rangers. We got Jake voting for the Twins, but there's no one who's a Cubs fan except you, Andy.
Yeah,
So
just me
so
by
you know.
myself. I'm used to it, man. I live in Cardinal country, so I'm used to being by myself.
Anyway, going back to what I was saying,
Right.
What's really interesting on this whole front is, as I was just reading today, is there's actually going to be funding that they're receiving, like public funding they're receiving to stay open because of the level of the nature of the incident and how much it's impacting so many people. So it's pretty wild what this is doing. I'm gonna be looking into some more stuff in depth here, but just the fact that they're looking at $2 billion in potential losses because of a 30-day estimated downtime is wild. And that's I mean, we've talked about a lot of things in the cyber insurance space. One of them is that whole business interruption component, and that you're looking at with a ransomware attack, you're looking at an average of 15 to 16 days of downtime.
Right.
And when you're a business as big as they are, you're looking at a lot of loss. So, but I do think it's interesting that, and this is probably more of a, I don't know if this is a UK specific thing, but that they're going to be receiving public funding to get moving again. It's pretty crazy, just because of the nature of the business, right? It's not like a small business, but this is also really important. If you're a small business and you go through a cyber attack, you're probably not going to receive any sort of public funding.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right. So that's not an opportunity for small business owners. So don't look at that and say, oh, I'm going to get a government bailout if I have a cyber attack. It's not going to happen. If you have a cyber attack, you don't have cyber insurance, you're going to be in a rough spot. So that's my hot cake for today. Go get cyber insurance.
No, it leads to that old, what's the old adage around here? What day is the best day? If you don't have cyber insurance today, what day is the best day to get it? Yesterday, right? You should already have it. So if you don't have it today, go get something and protect those assets.
Yep. Cover your assets.
That's it.
Cool. All right. So Andy, I don't know if you want to go ahead and introduce our guest today.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we're going to bring in Kristen Todd from Network One Consulting down in Georgia. Kristen works with, I'll let her do a little bit of introduction on herself, but in the 80s theme, right? Today's Who You Gonna Call? Beating the Cyber Renewal Crunch. I've got my Bob Ross on. I got my late 80s, early 90s Cubs cap. Kristen provided us with this wonderful yearbook picture. Kristen, welcome to the
Thank you.
to the show today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I asked when we were talking, Kristen, I was like, you were telling me kind of about you. You're like, oh yeah, I've got one I can send you. I was like, just remembering like my mom and Olin Mills at the mall and that whole. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
assuming that there's a lot of hair, and you were like, oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And honestly, there's more hair in that than normal. I used to shave it on the sides, but my parents
Nice.
were like, you gotta grow it in for that senior picture. I was like,
That's
okay.
that's good. That was back during that whole like Vanilla Ice,
Yes.
like I love it. That's really
Yeah.
good. Well, Kristen, thank you for joining us today. We love our MSP partners, and at UKON, with us being a cyber insurance wholesaler specifically that focuses on cyber and E&O, it puts us in this kind of connective tissue position between MSPs and agents. What we really want to do is we want to bring value on calls for both MSPs and agents. So would you mind just kind of giving some background on yourself, a little bit on Network One, and how we operate?
Yeah, sure. And I'm from Boston, so go Sox, just saying. And Pats
Yeah,
and everything else, you know how that goes. So
yeah, they got clipped by the game, man. I mean,
I
Yankees and
know.
Sox in the first round. It shouldn't happen. That should be ALCS. Anyway, go ahead.
I know. Yeah. But so Network One Consulting, we are an IT MSP local to Atlanta. So we service Atlanta and all the surrounding areas of Atlanta. Our niches pretty much are clients that are anywhere 100 employees or less. Sometimes we
Right.
do go over the 100. Industry specifics are mostly around legal, law firms, health, medical, manufacturing, construction, nonprofit, and financial. But we do a little of everything in between that as well. Been around for over 25 years,
Nice.
still owned by one single owner. I am a client manager, basically the same thing as an account manager, and I've been there
Right.
for a little over 7 years. Mostly my clients, we've got about 150. Mine are more a little bit of the financial and the medical ones.
Very nice. Yeah, very nice. Well, today's topic is who you're going to call beating the cyber renewal crunch, right? So, along that 80s theme, and to throw back to the Ghostbusters of the 80s, we've got a little clip to share here with the group. Now, we don't have audio, but I mean, you remember this, right? I mean, like the original Ghostbusters movie was a classic.
No.
There is audio. It's working.
Oh, it is working. Great. And we'll stop it right there, because I will tell you, as a child of the 80s, when I watch this now, it's like super cheesy and really not well done. But man, this was straight nightmare fuel for me when I was
pretty
a child.
scary. I mean, it's cheesy scary, but it's like funny cheesy scary. I mean, the whole movie's supposed to be comedic anyway, but
Right. So anyway, all right. So that's our Ghostbusters clip for the day. I've got my name switched over to Venkman because Bill Murray is a huge Cub fan, for all you other haters out there in the comments. But Kristen, sometimes that cyber insurance renewal can feel like a lightning bolt to the neck, right? Like it's last minute, it's kind of a shock, right? So what we want to talk about today is, along with the theme, when that renewal comes down, who are you going to call? If I'm a small business owner, do I call my MSP? Do I call my agent? How do I keep this thing from coming up on me last minute? And interested to know, on your side at Network One, how do you guys operate with your customers around their cyber insurance renewals?
Sure. Pretty much we've got point of contacts at all our different clients. And most of the times they're reaching out. We do have in place now for the past couple years a security engineer. So that's what he focuses on, is anything security related, cyber insurance related. So when our clients do reach out, a lot of times, like you said, it's last second. And the first thing we do, and they'll say, we don't know what to do with this. What do we do now? So we get Henry involved immediately, who's our security engineer, and he'll typically work with whoever the client engineer is for that particular client to get it filled out,
Right.
get it back. So he pretty much spearheads it. I did talk to him yesterday, and, he said, when I told him what you guys were talking about in terms of getting a relationship more with the agents, which, got my wheels turning too, because
Right.
I hadn't
Sure.
really thought of that.
Right.
He said it can be challenging at times only
Right.
because, getting the relationship with the right agent,
Right.
getting the information back from the agent.
Yep.
And he wanted to give you guys kudos because he loves your forms. So
Yeah.
he said,
Sure.
I love UKON's forms. They're
Yeah.
really easy to fill out. So that makes life a lot easier as well, because he said, every client, depending on who they've got as their agent, it's going to be a little bit different. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of challenges around all the nuances when it comes to getting the cyber insurance information back to the right person
Right.
and in a timely fashion.
No, that's great.
Kristen, what have been some of the pain points you've run into when it comes to renewals? Like as a cybersecurity professional, when renewals roll around for your clients, what are some of the frustrations you've dealt with, and how do you try to proactively get in front of them?
I would say the biggest one, and we talked about this the other day, is waiting until the last second. And then when we have to reach back out to them to ask them clarifying questions to get the right information, and then they kind of go silent, but yet they're on a deadline. So those are probably the biggest frustrations. And I will say one of the things that my wheels started turning the other day after talking to Andy is we've already been putting in place documentation and getting with all our clients to say, who do you have for cyber and when does it renew? So we're documenting that. And now the next thing we're going to do is to stay ahead of it is we're going to get notifications in place about 2 months prior of when it's
Very good.
supposed to renew,
That's
so
good.
that myself, the client engineer and Henry can get ahead of the game and start talking to them way before it's time so that we
Yeah.
can be proactive and make sure that they've got everything they need. And, because like you said, if you wait until the last second, well, maybe they're supposed to have MFA implemented and they don't. Well, we can't do it in one day sometimes. So,
Right.
we want to make sure that we're being proactive for our clients. So we're really working on staying one step ahead of the game on our side to be able to help them, because a lot of times they don't even know.
Right. No, I think that brings up a great point there. And this thing's changed, right? Like and none of this topic, this discussion, there is no condemnation here, right? Like there's nobody from our side, at least, nobody's going at the MSP or the agent and saying, hey, like we're figuring all this out together, right? Over the last 5 years, cyber insurance really is still nationwide is only at about a 50% adoption rate. That means roughly half of businesses have it. Of the 50 that have it, we see about 50% have the type of policies that don't really require a lot of heavy underwriting. So this is a new process for agents. It's a new process for MSPs. And I think what you hit on there is really key, which is, as these renewals come and as underwriting evolves, and for those that are out there, I know we've got agents on the call. I know we've got folks from the channel. Underwriting means the insurance questions, the insurance obligations, what they want you to have in place from a cybersecurity standpoint, right? What controls, what policies, procedures. Well, that's evolving and it's increasing. It's changing. 5 years ago, nobody cared if you had MFA. Nobody cared. They didn't even know what MDR was 5 years ago, right? Those things, particularly at higher revenues in certain sectors, are becoming demanded, right? And what we're seeing now is kind of this historical trend of like waiting till a couple minutes out, flipping an app over, right? Well, what if the carrier goes, hey, your premium's going up, or maybe we're going to discontinue you because you don't have this control. Well, then it goes back to the MSP of like, hey, I need whatever, let's name a control, EDR, right? Or backups or whatever. And I need that to renew my policy. Okay, great. We'll get you a quote together. When does the policy renew? What renews in 3 days? I literally had a conversation with a $150 million medical facility on Friday of last week. First time and their insurance renewed on Wednesday, 2 days ago, right? Like, so we had less than 72 hours of work time to get things together. We can't operate there, right? So what you're hitting on there, which is knowing when that date's coming on the MSP side, working with the agent, right? Backing out potentially 60 to 90 days and starting that conversation earlier. Is there anything major that we're seeing that's missing from the stack, right? That's either raising premiums or could potentially threaten this renewal. It's great to have that conversation well in advance. That way everybody can plan. We can get a quote. We can go to the board. We can discuss back and forth. The agent and the MSP can work together. And unfortunately, right now, when we bring in new agents or new MSPs and we ask like, hey, are you guys having functional conversations across the bow here? 9 times out of 10, that answer's no. And again, there's no condemnation in that. It's just that the process has evolved so quickly over the last 3 to 4 years that there's this new need. There's this procedural gap in the renewal. So yeah, this is super relevant to talk about, right now at the time. And I appreciate the transparency there. I love the fact that you guys individually, I'd like to talk a little bit about the decision-making behind internally. And I know we hadn't talked about this before, so I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but it sounds like you guys have for cyber insurance renewals that you have a technical go-to within the MSP, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'd like for you to talk a little bit about that decision-making, because I think it's very, very wise, right? A lot of the MSPs that we talk to, when it comes to cyber insurance renewals, sometimes that'll land on the desk of, an outside salesman or somebody that maybe doesn't know, the technical aspects. I'm interested to know how at Network One you guys landed on, hey, everything flows to this desk.
Yeah, I'm not really sure of all the ins and outs since upper management does what they want to do. But I mean, it was a great decision as we started to see that security was becoming the highlight of everything. So Henry has been with us for a while, and they just started. He basically got promoted into the new position. He used to be just a network engineer for clients, and he's really got a good hold on security. So he does security, everything related for us. Any, discussions, some clients want security training, so he'll do security training. He'll make it specific to that particular client in that industry. He does internal security training. We have a monthly meeting, an internal, corporate meeting, and he does his little 30-minute spiel or 15-minute spiel about security, some particular topic that's going on. So it's always staying in the forefront, and he knows his stuff. I mean, one of the other things too, I was thinking of as you were talking, Andy, that, we're trying to be proactive with our clients as well, to kind of help them understand how the cyber insurance can help. For instance, you mentioned EDR. So if we get a client that just got our EDR service, we'll say to them, hey, when you added it to your cyber insurance, did you save anything? Did you get a discount? And so we like to get that information back so that we can share it with our other clients so that they can see what's really happening on the other side and how that can help them.
Yeah. Awesome. Speaking of the security control front, because I think that's where we see some of the biggest challenges around renewals in general, right? And what I've experienced and seen in the insurance space is what I kind of liken to a game of telephone. So the underwriter, the underwriter passes down security requirements to the agent passes them to the client eventually gets them over to you. And then it becomes this kind of back and forth, and it can happen there. Hopefully it can get resolved relatively quickly, but I've had a couple of cases where I've actually had to go back and forth with underwriting multiple times to get the security summed up. One that always will, I'll always remember is there was a company, relatively big company, that we were working on getting a policy for, and they didn't have EDR, but they needed it. They didn't have MFA, so they needed it. So they got those things in place, and then we went back to try and get the coverage closed. And then they determined, they also were looking through the application, and they saw that they had like Lotus 123 still on their network, which or Lotus 321. I don't remember what it was called. That was a like pre-Excel software platform that I didn't even know existed because it existed before I was even born. And it was like end of life before I was even born, which is wild. So it's like the fact that it was still on their network. And so you run into these issues where it's like, and this is where I think the importance of an MSP is so vital to clients looking to get cyber insurance, because just having security controls in place is one thing, right? You need the security controls in order to get the cyber insurance. I understand those requirements and whatnot, but there's this other stuff like end of life software, end of life hardware, privileged access management. Like there's this stuff that may or may not be required depending on the nature of the risk. But then there's also just best practices and good cyber hygiene that I think is so important, that when you do run into an issue like this where, oh, you guys have a piece of software that you're still utilizing on a daily basis sitting on your network that has 0 security updates and actually has major CVE flaws nowadays, and they're just living with it, right? And then you runs into these issues. So you run into that, and you have this game of telephone where there's all this back and forth. And I feel like the MSP has an opportunity to create clarity where there often isn't clarity. So have you had any experiences where the client sometimes comes to you and you're able to, I guess, able to direct them in such a way where it's not just, oh yeah, well, the carrier says you need this, but actually what you really should be looking at is a step higher, and here's why. Like, do you have any examples, or maybe just how you would approach a situation where it's like, insurance says you need to be here, but really because of the nature of your risk and your business, you should be here?
I don't have any particular examples, only because typically when I do get involved from my point of contact at my client, I pretty much will give it to Henry and the client engineer to take care of. And most of the time, they're the ones handling that. But we do let them know if they're missing anything that they should have. At the end of the day, it's going to be, up to them what they want to go with. I would say, I think the biggest challenge we talked about was not having the relationship with the agents and having to go through our point of contact so that we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And that's one of the things that I want to start chipping away at, is trying to get to the agent, instead of just working with the point of contact. Yes, we have a great relationship with them, but as Andy mentioned, I mean, the light bulb went off when I talked to him the other day, and I was like, that's a really good point.
Oh no.
We lost Kristen.
We lost you, Kristen. Oh, you're back.
Okay, sorry. I got a phone call as I was trying.
That's okay.
My best friend's trying to call me right now. I'm like, don't do that.
Tell her to say, girl, wait. I'm on nationwide. I can do that. This can wait. Yeah.
I'm on live television.
Yeah. So trying to make me lose my train of thought. But definitely, that's something I'm going to start working on. I've pretty much been the one that's started spearheading the cybersecurity insurance with the client managers here at Network One. And so I've loved working with Andy and Will, because they've really helped generate some more thoughts on our side about how we can be more proactive with our clients so that they understand what's going on all sides, and we can start building a better relationship to make sure that we're understanding what exactly they need. I do have, it's across the board. I mean, we have clients that they want to be tightened up as much as possible. And then we have some that are kind of frustrating because, they basically say, well, we're just going to keep our fingers crossed. And I'm sitting here going, oh my God. So, it's tough, and it can be frustrating because you want to help them and you've seen what's happened. And that's the other thing that we do a lot of without naming client names. I mean, we've had some things happen, especially with EDR. This one client, I mean, they were down for days and days, and we let people know, our other clients, hey, here's what happened. And we're just trying to give them, we love to use real life scenarios so that they understand this is what can happen. Not to scare them. It's not about scaring. It's just trying to give them, you know, the
Right.
education that they
Yeah.
need to make the right decision. I mean, I was looking at an article the other day about Clorox from 2023. I'm sure y'all know that one, where they had the MSP and one of the bad actors just called in and asked for credentials and pretended
Oh
to
my
be an
gosh, yeah.
employee, and they gave it to him. So, you know, we look at those things and go, how would that make us change some of our processes as well?
That was like the MGM Grand Casino incident. It wasn't an MSP, but it was really similar. Like the internal IT guy just gave them access. You know,
Mhm.
it's a crazy but you know, one of the things you said that I don't want to let slip um, by engaging with the insurance agent directly,
Mhm.
I think you're going to eliminate one of the things you said really early on in this session about waiting until the last minute. Because I think clients are often so caught up in their day-to-day business, which makes perfect sense, aren't we all? That when that insurance renewal form often ends up on the back burner. And to be fair, 99% of other insurance policies don't require the amount of work to renew that cyber often does.
Yeah.
So they're not really thinking that way. Whereas when you have that direct connection to the insurance agent, now you have the opportunity to say, okay, great. So we have renewed, or we have all the things we need to know exactly what's necessary to renew this policy. You're getting it from that insurance agent. So you're kind of effectively removing the client from the game of telephone, right? So which often is the biggest delay point. So the agent's
Right.
getting it from the underwriter, they could pass it straight over to you instantly.
Yep.
So it creates a lot of opportunity there. So Andy, you said you were going to share something.
Yeah, well, I mean, a couple things. Number one, I mean, it's all just validating what Kristen was saying, and you know, personally, for me, I was an agent, you know, a generalist agent in Arkansas back in the day, and shout out to Jim Bryant at Pinnacle IT. We both attended the same cybersecurity conference, right? We met, we had lunch. I went down to his office. He's a local, you know, silo, or you know, like an island of an MSP up here in Northeast Arkansas that's statewide. And we just started going out and working together. We would literally drive together in each other's cars to go visit clients together. And we would say, hey, Jim's a cybersecurity specialist. He's not a licensed insurance agent. He shouldn't be talking about insurance, but he's got to help you with yours, right? He's got to help you with your application. Andy is not a cybersecurity specialist. He's an insurance guy. He's licensed. He can talk about everything insurance, right? But he shouldn't be recommending tools and things like that. And we tango and cash, Batman and Robin, yin and yang, whatever you want to call it, right? All over Northeast Arkansas. And it reminds me of a time, I mean, we sat, I mean, in the middle of nowhere at this $70 million rice farm, right? That had evolved, right? They had done all of the things. They had the tech, and they had, you know, stuff in silos that was on Wi-Fi that would adjust the temperature and the fans and all that cool stuff. And they understood that they had to evolve with the times. They had to modernize, right? But they didn't understand cyber liability. And they asked Jim, who was the MSP, could they get somebody in there that understood it? And I rode with Jim in his truck down an hour south. And like I said, we had no idea where we were at. Sat down, and this gentleman came in that had been farming that land for over 45 years. And he just sat down and listened for 30 minutes to Jim talk about risk mitigation, me talk about risk transference, and this kind of combined, you know, whatever you want to call it, presentation, TED Talk, whatever, right? About why, you know, the MSP side and the risk transference through insurance side. And the guy stood up, shook both our hands, said, man, I learned so much today. And the way that I figure it is it's not going to be the things that I know that get me. It's going to be the things that I don't know. Right.
Mhm.
And for that MSP, I would like to think, at least, I mean, I know he still manages that account today, but like, I would like to think that was an extremely, extremely sticky moment for that MSP. We were able to write an insurance policy out of it, which was great. But we brought a ton of value to the MSP in that moment. And really what it took for us to get to that moment was both of us to say, hey, I need you and this is my specialty, but I need your specialty to be at the table too, so we can work together here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, Andy, just working with you guys. You know, you're a great partner not only helping to educate us internally and get the wheels turning, just like me thinking about different things, but, even the industry specific webinars that we're putting together
Right.
for any
Right.
clients that are interested in sitting in. That's great stuff. And we definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. We appreciate the opportunity. And the other thing too, Will, that I would discuss just from an insurance standpoint, and we know this to be true on our side of the fence, is once a client has a policy, what happens more often than not, right, is there's this process where the carrier will come to the agent with a renewal application or a copy of last year's application. And then that agent will flip it over and say, hey, does this stuff ring true today? It's in a PDF form. Are you guys still in the same process? And if that's late, if it's right against that renewal, what's the natural thing for the customer to do? Yeah, man, it's still true. We're good here. Sign off on it. Let's just get the renewal processed, right? Well, what if they've worked with Kristen and her team over the last year and they've put on MDR, right? What if they have a security awareness training program this year that they didn't have last year? There's market credit out there, right? Like backing out and saying, hey, here are the improvements that we've made, and having that annual consultation. Couple things that it does, and this is a word to the agent. It's also a word to the MSP, right? Number one, it gives you the opportunity to showcase those improvements made in security, policies, procedures over the last year out to the open market to leverage maybe more coverage, maybe lower premium, maybe lower deductible, but go out there with your chest out and say, hey, here are the things that we've done well, right, over the last year. There's that. There's also the opportunity for the MSP to come in and say, okay, here's where we've gotten to, right? This is an ongoing journey. Hey, insurance, right? Where should we go next? Be our guiding light here, right? And what it does for the MSP is it gives you, I hate the good cop, bad cop, but it really, I mean, the way that I liken it as a baseball guy is for years, I would have dads come to me and say, hey, will you work with my kid on hitting? And I would tell the kid he needs to turn his back foot or needs to lead with a knob. And the dad would go, I've been telling him that for years. All you did was just reinforce what I'd already been telling him. It's the same thing here. For an MSP to bring in an insurance agent that's knowledgeable on cyber and for us to go, you know what? You guys are in a pretty good spot from a control standpoint, but you really need an IR plan. And we would suggest getting a pen test, getting an IR plan in place and doing a tabletop sometime in the next year, right? And they'll do it. And then the MSP comes out and it's like, oh, we've been telling them, for the last 4 QBRs or 6 QBRs or whatever that they need to do those things. And all it took was somebody from the insurance side to come in and say, hey, this is best practice. So I know we're getting close on time. Any closing thoughts, Will or Kristen, on the things that we've talked about today?
I mean, I have one thing that just to add to what you were saying, Andy, is you have I wouldn't even look at it as but good cop, bad cop, as much as I look at it as sometimes sometimes the person who's not in the role of, it's going to sound so funny, right? But in the role of like authoritative knowledge on a particular subject is sometimes the person who's not in that space is the one we listen to more. So it's like, I was a youth pastor before coming over to this company. And there were so many times where I had parents trying to get their kids to just listen to them on like basic human decency things. And they wouldn't listen. But then as their youth pastor, who is in no way their parent whatsoever, I'm like, hey, I heard you're doing this thing. Why are you doing this thing? And like, yeah, I should probably stop. And then they stop, right? It's like, I'm not in a place of authority over their lives and the way their parents are, but they listen to me. And there's the same kind of thing where it's like just the nature of a slightly different relationship because, and I think part of it is as an MSP, right? There's always that little bit of air where they're like, oh, well, they're trying to sell me something.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And as soon as you have someone else coming in, it's like, actually, no, this is really important for you to have.
Yep.
Now, all of a sudden, all the stuff you were telling them carries a little more weight, right? And it's so I actually see it almost like a really successful partnership opportunity for MSPs to partner with insurance agents because, yes, it will give you good sales opportunities, but it also just adds leverage to the stuff you've been trying to coach your clients through in the first place.
No, I agree. I was thinking the same thing because, they think we're just trying to sell them something, but you really want to get them to think and go, well, why did you hire us in the first place? We're your VCIO here. We're trying to keep you safe. It's not just we're trying to sell you something. So one of the things we really try to do is make them think about, why did you hire us? And say for instance, with the EDR, if they don't have one, we try to get them to start thinking when we have discussions with them, what would happen if? What would this do to your practice if you were down for a week? So we try to get them to think so that it isn't just we're trying to sell you something. It's we're trying to keep you guys safe. That's what you hired us for.
That's it.
Yeah. So kind of bringing the plane in for a landing here. We try to keep it around 45 minutes for our listeners. First of all, for me, super encouraging to see agents in our network and MSPs in our network in the chat, and both sides of the fence interact
and
together.
None of them are Cubs fans.
And none of them are Cubs fans, right? But that's what we're here for today, right? And my last kind of, John 3:16 on the topic here is, if you're an agent, get that renewal going 60 days out and involve the MSP. If you're an MSP, gather renewal dates of your customers, particularly your large customers, right? The ones that are going to have more complex policies and renewal. Set a QBR, set an annual review 60 to 90 days out. Reach out to the MSP, bring everybody to the table, and then UKON can be that connective glue, right? We're that middle, we're that tendon, so to speak, between bone and muscle, where we can say, hey, we sit in the middle of this. We sit in a specialty position. Here's what we suggest on the cybersecurity side. Here's what we think on the market side, right? MSP, you guys and agent function together to serve your client better. So, Kristen, really, really appreciate. I don't recall any of that. Yeah, sorry, man. I meant just like a high level thesis statement. Right? So,
sorry, had to troll.
I mean. Yeah, always.
Not many opportunities I get to biblically troll someone. So.
Yeah, we were joking today. I was on with Violet Sullivan and Jason Rebholz and Stu Pineski, and we were talking about NetD. Speaking of biblically trolling, right? And they were like, "Hey, what's going to be a big topic of conversation you think at NetD?" And Jason was like, "I think AI." And I was like, "Dude, that's cheap. That's like saying Jesus in church on a Sunday. It's never not going to be wrong, Like, of course, everybody's going to be talking at AI." So anyway, Kristen, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on today. Will, you want to take us home, man?
Yeah. Just one last, again, if you've been listening in, you're watching this, even if you're watching this after the fact, head on over to UKON.com if you're an insurance agent or if you're an MSP. We want to help, just as Kristen was talking about, we want to create that ecosystem for the two of you, unite the two together so that this whole insurance world becomes a lot more manageable and becomes a good opportunity for both parties. So again, head on over to UKON.com, put it up right one more time there. I think I can make put the little QR code again for no reason. Because we all know how much MSPs love QR codes. Just kidding. But anyway, thanks everybody. And we will catch you in a couple weeks.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
And Kristen, if you could stay on for like 2 minutes before
we